Sight, Sound, and Body Heat. Mario Hemsley here. So my computer just crashed, the broadcast presentation. So while we're getting that up.
Oh, nice smooth transition, man. I missed that song.
That's not our song.
That's a smooth one, man.
To get us flagged.
I know, man.
So Vic,
yeah.
While the computer is coming up,
yeah.
One of the things that's been happening is a number of our folks are taking up causes. Yeah. Phoenix, Rockwell, Davidson. Her big thing is Miss Opal, the 93-year-old who's working to get Juneteenth as a national holiday. And Miko, who's always doing something
right
for someone, she's been on her own little movement. Tell us a little bit about that while I get this computer.
Yeah, and I'm not going to try to hit all the details because I'm a receiver of information just like everybody else. But in short, she on her own took on looking at, of course, things at this time, people in need and causes. And of course, came across the situation with a young child named Kayla. And they have this procedure about what you can donate, what you can contribute. And one of the options is hair. And Miko chose to go on and say, will I cut? I've been planning to do this, but this is for a greater cause. She did not hesitate. She went down, did her thing. She'll do a better job of giving you guys what they call all the details, as she has already done on the video. So if you guys want to look at what they call the storyline of what she did, she says it way better than I can. But in the end, the impact of what she's done is always because, you know, we're talking about children with cancer. So that by itself means, look, whatever you got to do just to bring them happiness, that's what you do. Now, the other byproduct of this is that she all of a sudden has this awareness, and I was telling her stuff that I said was just my point of view. It's not to say it's good or bad, better or worse. I just said that there's a community of thought in some people that when a woman cuts her hair low and gets it short, like that, her conviction is that she says, hey, I don't let my hair style define me. I can take it low, I can take it cut, I can do whatever. And I was telling her, you know, a lot of men really look at that as an asset value, meaning that, hey, you know, you could go wherever with it. You're not dependent. Now, that doesn't mean that the other hairstyles that deal with hair is like, oh, wow, you're dependent on it. But I told her it's a compliment. Just like when, as somebody probably said about your hair, Mario, said, it's not that it's not good the way you had it. It's just that it's a compliment to you because you just let it go. And I want to always kind of reinforce that what she did probably stimulated a lot of people in many different ways, beyond just say the situation with Kayla, but the idea that she can go in a different direction. And it makes her face stand out. I mean, you really get to see, you know, the sculpted face, her cheekbones, everything, you know, and, you know, she's going to be qualified. We have a nickname we always give people and whatever. She is now a little boo. She'll understand what that means. She's a little boo. So, because she looks young. She looks much younger as being younger. Her profile photo, if you haven't seen the update, Mario, you have to go see it on her Facebook profile. Unbelievable.
Take a look at what she's doing.
Yeah.
While we get the computer back up. It's almost back up.
Yeah.
Had to reboot. So cut off all her hair.
For a worthy cause.
For a worthy cause. Give it up, everybody, for Miko Williams. Give it up.
Yeah, all day, all day. Love it. If I had hair, I would cut it off. I would.
Well, we had to reboot the system. But let me tell you, we got the upcoming part. We're dealing with part 2, which is really the news. COVID-19. Okay, Black Lives Matter. And finally, the Trump presidency. As we wind into.
Do we have to talk about the presidency? I mean, are you going to illuminate us, or are you just going to sit back and go like, I know secrets?
Don't I always illuminate, Vic?
All right, bro.
It's the shining light into the... Okay, my computer's almost up.
Well, don't worry about that, man, because nobody really cares about your computer. They really want to see your iterations.
Well, I need my damn...
No, you don't.
I need my lead in.
You can talk about Trump. You know you don't. You really don't,
You don't need my lead in?
No, man. This is that part where you're going to do post, right? All right. There you go.
You're right.
See,
You're
this
right.
was.
All right. Here's got us. Okay, well.
You don't even need help with notes on Trump.
All right, let's go with straight. All right, good news, bad news, other shit. Some shit ain't working, but we're going to move straight ahead. Let's talk about the news. First things first, COVID pandemic. The big thing about this is that your healthcare workers are burning out. You know, it's one of those things where you can't say, I told you so, but man, I told you so. Lord. So it's getting bad. Today, a new record. Florida had 15,300 new cases. That is a record. If Florida was its own country, it'd be the 4th largest epidemic in the world. Everywhere around the country, you guys. Everywhere around the country. And the doctors have all been saying pretty much the same things, because unless you're a quack, you know all this. You know all this. Okay? And let me remind people, they're making a mistake, but okay, to a large extent, I really do blame the misinformation put out by the professionals. And some of it is not so much misinformation, but the manner in which they talk. You know, if a doctor walks in and says, well, you know, you have a cancer, and, you know, we can get started working on it. Okay, so don't, you know, meanwhile, think about it. Okay, we'll get back to that. See, now how stupid is that? See, the degree of concern, the doctors should be showing the degree of concern commiserate with the problem. This is why I never, for 30 years, wanted other doctors to do my patient education. I always, with as compulsive as I am, I asked you, did you have questions 3 times, because I counted them. Okay, and I hated the way other doctors explain things, because they're trying to be all academic, and it's a bunch of bullshit. If you ever want to hear a professional talk for 15 minutes and not understand a goddamn thing he said, talk to a doctor. Talk to a doctor. Okay, this is what I can't stand about a lot of it. So I watched some of the pros today, and they're all sorry, shitty, worthless, and even though you can see, even though they're wonderful scientists, they're horrible explaining shit to patients. Okay, you can tell they're horrible. Okay, so that's why we're part of the issues where we are today. People are actually getting misinformation. The leadership coming from the top down is saying it's okay. How can it be wrong to be out when the beaches are opening? How can it be wrong to be out when the restaurants are opening? How can it be wrong to be out when Disney World is opening? Isn't that the message that it's okay? When you say, hey, we're opening Disney World, isn't that saying it's okay?
Yes. But there's some deeper considerations there where people are going to have to risk their survival from being put out of their homes since they're past this period of time, for example, with the tenant renters situation where they're going to evict people if they don't have income. I know it's best, but I know that this is a troublesome part for me. I know when it comes to, there are people right now going, I'm 2 weeks away, and they're telling me, I don't care. That little coverage done by the federal government, that little freeze, you got to go. It's going to be deep.
It's going to be deep as the money runs out. The inner cities turning into war zones as people struggle to survive. Okay? Evictions, you're going to have people living on, more people on the street than ever. Places like Los Angeles. These are my concerns, what Victor is talking about. These are the things that are coming. And remember, okay, we said, well, what will we do? Let me tell you what we will do, because I thought about this, and I always try to give you the personal insight that is what I know. Those healthcare workers are going to be busting their ass, asking themselves, why the hell am I doing this for these idiot people? You can try not to think that. But when you're in there working your butt off all day, long ass shifts, and then you get threatened because you wear a mask, you're going to really start to question, why the hell am I taking care of these people? Why the hell? And this is different because they have to worry about taking it home. I can tell you as a doctor, in the past, I was always able to put aside the obvious racism in some of my parents because I could step to a higher plane spiritually and take care of that child. I could do that. It was very easy in pediatrics to deal with asshole, racist parents by thinking only of God and knowing what your job was. That's what you would do it. Now, these healthcare workers are going to be putting themselves into that same situation every day when they wear that mask for 12 straight hours. See, when you talk about wearing it to the store, let me make this really clear to you. You talk about the inconvenience of wearing it to the store and back, and they're going to wear that mask for 12 straight hours. They're going to begin to question whether or not they should be sacrificing themselves for these idiot people. But most of them will. But you're going to reach a breaking point. You're going to reach a breaking point. You may be headed there now, Vic.
Let me say this. I use this scenario. There's two people standing in front of a building, and you're terribly ill. You don't know what it is. And then you have the choice. One person's a doctor, the other is a politician, and you're in pain. Who do you go to? Even if you don't know if the building's a hospital, do you go to the politician or do you go to the medical? And I said, if you had to sit there and say this, Mar, you know this, the people who are the dum-dums are, and no disrespect to them, everybody has their independent thought, they're the ones saying, I haven't reached that point where I have used that scenario. As far as I'm concerned, this is all political and it's conspiracy. So who do you pick when you walk up?
Well, see, what you're saying is that no one's died close to them yet.
Yes, right. That's exactly.
That's what he's saying. So when someone dies close to you, your attitude will change.
Wake up. You know, pain, Mario. Pain is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, you will change overnight.
Pain.
Let me tell you part of the problem. Why it's not going to end.
Oh, sorry about that, man.
That's all right. You all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
We call it the Great Experiment. See, the Great Experiment is because all the physicians, and I can't remember who coined it, but they called it the Great Experiment because no one could imagine the United States of America doing absolutely nothing in the face of a crisis like this. So it's the Great Experiment to see what happens. You don't do anything to stop it, so it goes on and on. Let me break that down to you again. You don't have no vaccine. You have no good treatments. All the treatments are barely helping. They're giving some hope for the worst patients, but you don't have any treatments. So that means when you come in dying from this, we basically have magic beads and prayer. Okay? If you can't breathe, we'll give you oxygen and put you on a machine. If you can't drink, we'll put an IV in you. But we can't make that virus go anywhere. We're trying to give drugs to just slow it up.
Yeah.
By it's kicking your ass. That's the reality. Okay? While it's kicking your ass. I've taken care of some of the worst viral infections ever seen in children. Okay? When you can do absolutely nothing to stop that virus. And I can tell you what that feels like. It's horrible. So, we got to be careful. The bad leadership is out there, okay? And you just have to know that this is a worldwide crisis, okay? All right, so it's going to continue. We'll be reporting on COVID-19 every week. I did that. There was one thing. Okay, sorry, Vic. One of the things they were trying to explain, Fauci and some of the other guys on there from this is that they do a lot of mathematical equations to predict the spread of any virus, any outbreak, risk, and all those kinds of things. And what Fauci was saying, to get ahead of the virus, like ahead of it, actually pushing it down,
Yeah, I know.
you needed to have a vaccine that was 70% effective,
minimum,
and then have 70% of the population get that vaccine. If you have a vaccine that's 50% effective,
Nope.
you might have to get 80%
Right.
of the people to get that vaccine.
Right.
45% of the people out there right now say they're not taking the vaccine no matter what. Let me repeat that. 45% of Americans out there say they're not taking the vaccine no matter what. If that actually turns out to be true, which it won't, but if that were to turn out to be true, that means you would never get ahead of the virus. Right now, I want you to understand, in the medical community, they're betting on whether it's 70 to 90% of the U.S. population that gets this. The conservative estimates were 50% way back. So that's what they're talking about in the medical profession. Okay, 70 to 90% of you guys getting it because you're not even trying not to. When you have no vaccine, when you have no treatment, the one thing you could do is try to stop the spread by keeping people separated. By the way, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the cowards that they are, where are they on kids going back to school? Oh, they support the best research. Oh, whatever, you cowards. You've always been cowards. You're cowards still. You won't protect our children. There's no way they should go to school. They're a threat to the teachers. They're a threat to the community. Why make children the vector for the whole society? You want children now be the thing that's spreading COVID everywhere. The children. Assholes.
You know, there's a psychosis. It's called herd immunity. It's working over on the other side.
Let's go. Let's get that herd. So when your people start dying,
Right.
then we'll see how you feel.
Right.
Okay.
Now,
Part one. We'll go on, Vic.
No, listen. I always say the easiest conversation, and I saw something the other day where the doctors were reporting how the children are handling the pandemic as it relates to wearing masks and how they adapt to it. So easy. So, I mean, they said there's not this complication of politics involved. It's just straight to adaptation. And you wonder where the adults are.
Well,
learning.
how about this? I can tell you how children handle death.
You're right.
How's that?
Right.
You want to know that?
Yeah.
I can tell you how they handle death.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's the real question. That's what you're comparing it to.
Mm-hmm.
See, I tell you what, historically, in every crisis the world has ever had, women and children suffered. The children die. When you wage war, the children die.
Absolutely.
Okay? Mostly they shit themselves to death. That is the number one cause of death of children worldwide today. It's still diarrhea.
Yep.
So if you care so much about children, okay, then do something about that. But don't give me that side talk, because you're letting children die all the time. Children die every day. Okay? Because I was one of the people trying to prevent that. So I can tell you. So what'll happen is you're going to send them back to school and a bunch of them going to die. So a bunch of them got asthma, some hidden congenital heart problems,
Yep.
lung disease, something, and they're going to end up on a vent too. The only thing good they got going for them is they got that good healthy tissue. And usually
Absolutely.
one disease. See,
Absolutely.
usually the kids have one disease, whereas you adults have 3 and 4 diseases and whatever brought you in.
Yeah.
See, kids have one. So let's wish the best for them. Topic number 2, Vic. Black Lives Matter. Want to give you a different perspective today on Black Lives Matter. No need to re-report everything that's been going on, but I want to tell you a little story. I was sitting there in the front house working on some stuff, and my buddy Victor Allen walked in. He goes, "You know, this is a great time to be a black man." And he said, "This is the best time I've had it in my life as a black man." And I looked at him and I said, "You know, you're right. I got it too. This is absolutely the best time we've had it as black men. Now, Mac, think about it. The last time we went through the civil rights thing, and I was a kid, America didn't believe. The studies say that at the height of the civil rights movement, 85% of the white folks didn't believe black folks had a problem. And I told you that when I was growing up at the age of 13, 85 to 90% of America was Trump. That was the way the average American thought. The way Donald Trump thinks and talks right now today, that was 85, 90% of America when I was 13. Okay? So back then, black lives didn't matter. Okay? And so now I was reflecting on that with Vic, and I said, maybe that's why I don't feel depressed by the struggle. Maybe the reason why I'm not hurt by the struggle in the same way is because I see the progress coming. Last time America didn't care. We had to show them. We had to say to America, let's beat our asses and make you watch. We're going to let you be horrified. Okay? This time the whole world is protesting. Finland, Germany, Japan, everywhere around the world is recognizing racial injustice. That's a change, ladies and gentlemen, for the entire world. The entire world. This is a great time to be a black man because it's a time of growth and change. And to have that growth and change to be fueled by the struggle of black folks in this country for freedom is a wonderful thing. The folks who died will be remembered for starting a movement that changed the world. And all I can say is thank you, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Applause to the grassroots movement, you know. Well, I can't say too much because I know you have to transfer over to Captain Dada. Oh, my God.
No, Captain Dada, I'm still trying, my shit don't work over here.
Well, what you don't?
Okay. All right.
You know what?
Man, it's not working, so y'all leave me alone. Part 3 of today's news, the Trump update.
Oh.
So you see the man's going up in flames. See, he could go down. The fear right now is that it looks so bad. All Biden has to do is not mess up. You know, ladies, doesn't this kind of remind you when you like that dude and you just hoping he don't say the wrong thing? Just don't blow it. You could just get laid if you just keep your mouth shut. Or just when you do speak, measure it. So that's what we want from Joe Biden. We want him to measure it, get a strong candidate. Recognize that whatever woman he selects has a very strong chance of being the first woman president of the United States. Think about that. Whatever female vice president candidate that Joe Biden selects has a great chance of being the first female president of the United States. So keep that in mind. Is that going to be Susan Rice? Who's that going to be? Mm-hmm. Because Trump is looking like he's headed toward a landslide loss. You're starting to see the early defections because the numbers are looking really bad in places that were considered strongholds. So no need to re-report that. But let's talk about what the president continues to do, because I went and reviewed my broadcast from 5/22/17 where I made my Trump predictions, and even though my timeline was off, I still say that the things I predicted are coming true. I just underestimated the degree of cowardice out there. I underestimated the willingness of the Republican Party and many people to simply cave, bend over, and spread their cheeks. I simply had no idea that the level of incompetence displayed by the Senate would rise to this occasion, to be openly punked and look like idiots in public. Mitch McConnell. I had no idea, but now I have an idea. People thought William Barr was a person of credibility. Wrong. We took your word for it. Wrong. So now we have Trump. And the latest is his pardoning blatantly of Roger Stone. Like I said, people say hoax. What administration has this many people in jail? It's amazing, the ability of Trump supporters to have tunnel vision and ignore everything. Everything. So Roger Stone gets his sentence commutated. What's the difference? Why not a pardon? Why commutation? Why not a pardon? I'm got to tell you why. Once you're giving a full pardon for any crime, you no longer can take the fifth. You could be required to testify. And because you've already been excused from any repercussions, you can no longer take the fifth. By commutating his sentence, Trump left Roger Stone the ability that when he gets called up in other investigations, he can take the fifth. If Trump had pardoned him, he could have sang like a bird on Trump. Let me say that again. If Trump had pardoned him, that meant Roger Stone could be pulled into other investigations and he could sing like a bird with impunity. Couldn't even take the fifth because he has impunity. Now with a commutation, if he's called into other situations, he can't do it. He has to take the fifth.
I'm not giving him any ear. I don't even know why it's important. I'd rather talk about Black Lives Matter sprawled in front of Donald Trump's office and watch them sit back and get leg cramps as they walk into the building.
Yeah.
Okay. I really don't. See, the only part that gets me is that, first of all, the general public really doesn't pay attention to presidential pardons and stuff like that. Historically, they don't care. And if you go back and look at how many have done it on both sides of the fence, then you have to start going back to go like, well, there are no holier than thou moments here. It's always been for, you have my back. This one is just highlighted more because Captain Dada and his cronies, you know, so it's the highlight. I'm not giving it in the air. I'm going to stay over here.
I think the issue is that people who remain miseducated, undereducated about the degree of criminality in the Trump campaign, that's the problem.
Oh, yeah, it's over.
And see, the problem always has been when trying to mobilize grassroots people, you guys, the problem always has been to get them out into care. People who are downtrodden tend to accept it. To quote your Declaration of Independence, mankind is more disposed to suffer while the evils are sufferable.
Absolutely.
That means as long as they can tolerate it, they'll just keep their mouths shut. So part of mobilizing any grassroots effort is trying to get grassroots, poor folks, struggling folks to recognize how they're being screwed. I've been trying to, you know, in talking about health care and saying health care should be a right, I've been saying that since I was in medical school. And you know, when I say that, you know what I mostly got back? I'll say health care is a right. You would get, nah, I don't know. And I don't think so. You should have health care. No, who's going to pay for that? Yeah. So poor people themselves didn't even believe they should have the benefit. Okay? They didn't believe it. They didn't believe they deserved it, I guess. Okay? Maybe now they believe that. But they had to be convinced. Oh, you would, just like you had to convince poor people about it, like unemployment insurance and things like, we shouldn't do that.
Right.
You know, because basically poor people believe whatever you can get them, you know, they'll believe whatever you want, okay? Just spend the right money, okay? That's the way that works, all right? So Roger Stone does get out. The conspiracy goes on. Well, not the conspiracy. It's obvious. The president's punishing those who don't go along with the campaign and, you know, and other ones that he does. He makes sure, like his Cohen stays in jail, but Roger Stone doesn't.
Well, Mr. Cohen decided to go back to jail on his own. Okay.
Rather than sign that agreement now.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going.
You got to make sure you throw in those variables.
Well,
right.
Yeah.
It's either sign agreement that may affect you the rest of your life.
And he has, before he even got there, he was affected by the rest of his life when he was with Captain Dada.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that's what I said, but you know, they want you to feel sorry for Roger Stone.
No.
So again, to me, the point is, if the public's unaware of criminal things, once again, you were in that zone. I understand that mostly they don't care, but I can't concern myself with what they don't care about. I have to go about informing them, maybe against their own will.
Just know that every Republican, not by my words, they are all being told with chat underground, we will remember all of you.
All right.
That's not from me.